So this should go in your notes. You don't actually need this particular sheet, but you should put this information in your notes, in your notebook, so that you have it. We have different methods that we've been using, 3 different methods that we would use when we're solving equations. So the factoring method, we're going to use when a equals 1. So if a doesn't equal 1, or if you notice that you can factor out that number, it's not a big deal. Or if you can easily factor a out to make a equals 1. So we don't want to factor out, like if a is 3 and b is 5, we're not gonna be able to factor that out. So that's not gonna work at all. In that case, we'd immediately go to quadratic formula. And so if a is equals 1, we can easily factor a out. And then, so that has to happen. And this is important, we can factor. So if a is not 1 and I can't factor it out, I'm not even going to look at that method. I'm going to go on to a different method. So we want to make sure that it looks like we can do this. And then if you look at those and you're like, I can't factor that, then that's going to tell you to go to the quadratic formula because of the method or the way that it is. So you're going to kind of use those things to help you out. The square root method, used when the equation looks like x squared equals, and this is going to be any sort of a number, so we'll just say like a c, and an example would be x minus 3 squared equals 10. That's when we could use this particular method, because we're going to be able to solve by taking a square root. For those of you that really like the quadratic formula, you would have to multiply that out. So using your rectangular diagrams, you would multiply it out, make it equal to 0, and now you can use the quadratic formula, which again, it will always work for. The quadratic formula is you're going to use when other methods fail. So I can't factor. I can't use the square root method. That's going to put it in the quadratic formula. There are some people who will use the quadratic formula for everything, even if I tell you to factor. Because once you figure out what the quadratic formula makes it equal, you can go back up and tell me what it was supposed to factor with. So kind of keep that in mind, that you are, that if this method is something you're like, I like it because it always works, it makes sense to me, you can easily go back and you can say, okay, well, if I know that my quadratic formula is equal to 1 and 3, then I would be able to put those back up into my equations. Just remember, they'd have to be the opposite. It'd have to be like x minus 1 and x equals 3, because when I would do the solutions, I would have to set those equal to 0. So you have some options as you're looking at those. And then just to remember, just because it is going in your notes, it's really helpful to have what that quadratic formula is. And you must, this is so important, set equation equal to 0. And that's it.